What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champion, flyweight champion, the bantamweight champion of the world. And I got a public service announcement to all you wannabe MMA casuals or MMA fans for that reason. You guys make sure to listen to my boy's Story of the Fight with Will and Miro. You know why? Because Triple C said so. And if you don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C too.
Dude, nice week of fights.
Yeah.
I kind of want this all the time now. I want
Just
a fight in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Yes. I want fights in the middle of the week. Oh, give me a weekend card as well.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always have to be Wednesday. We can work that out.
Yeah.
But man, I loved having multiple cards throughout the week. And I don't know if it's just because of the whole COVID situation and we have so many things shut down right now, not very many sports,
Mm-hmm.
but man, these cards were fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people kind of talk some shit about the first. So, what do you think about the way they're naming the cards?
What, like Yaz Island or?
Well, they're saying it's just Fight Island 1, Fight Island 2, which
Oh,
it threw me off at first because 251 should have been Fight Island 1, but I'm guessing they're just going to do whatever pay-per-views are there, they're just going to remove
like
that
Fight
from
Night.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Dude, I really don't care what to name it.
Yeah.
Like, just give me more cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like,
But people were talking shit
Jones
about
and
Fight
freaking more
Island 1.
cards, man.
People were talking shit about Fight Island 1. They were like, this shit was all decisions. That's boring as fuck. And it's like, what? What are you talking about?
And again, I think that's where you go back from, like when you speak to some casual fans and when you speak to like fans that might be in it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I thought the fights were fun. Like I said, I don't know if it's just because I'm sports deprived right now.
Yeah.
But I am loving these cards that are coming out. It gives me something to look forward to, to watch in the middle of the week and the weekends. I was on PTO, like I said, for that last pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
And it's the first time in PTO that I was on PTO. I was like, man, I can't wait for the end of my PTO because there's something going on. You know what I mean? So I was like counting down the days on my PTO.
Yeah.
So I can actually see this pay-per-view card, man. So, I know that we had been texting back and forth throughout the fights like we usually do.
Yeah.
And, the first one that you had brought up was John Phillips versus, is it Chimaev?
That one is going to take me some time to remember. But that dude, I don't forget his performance, though. Holy hell. Did
I know.
Yeah, okay, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it, man.
Son of a bitch.
Chimaev. I think that's what I remember hearing Bruce Buffer say.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But, this dude coming in to the fight 6-0, right? So he's an undefeated fighter. Right away, I kind of was drawn to him because he's training out of All-Star Training Center in Stockholm with one of my favorite fighters, Gustafsson.
Yeah.
As he,
The Mauler.
Yes, absolutely. I'll always remember that guy.
Yeah.
Yes, the Mauler, Gustafsson. But man, I really enjoyed that fight. What'd you think?
It got a 10-7. The first round, one of the judges gave him a 10-7, which is crazy. Which everyone's like, oh, it was never in danger of being finished, and the rules say 10-7 is only for when a fight's going to be close to being stopped, and it's like, fuck out of here with that, because 10-7s are better for the sport, in my opinion. So if the rules say,
kind of like what we talked about last week.
Yeah, if the rules say that there needs to be a threat of the finish to get a 10-7, then that rule needs to be changed, because a 10-7, when it's a complete dominant round like that, it should be a 10-7, regardless of if it was close to being stopped or not.
I agree, man. The way he came out with that head kick, straight into head double leg, and I don't feel bad for fighters very often, but I feel pretty bad for Philip.
Yeah.
We're talking about a few seconds into the fight.
Yeah.
Head kick into a double leg takedown, and it was just dominance from that point on.
It's over.
And I love that Chimaev is extremely active on top.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a Nurmagomedov.
Yeah. He
where
even says he's gonna smash.
It's a constant ground and pound. When the opportunity presents itself for a submission attempt, he goes for the submission attempt.
Yeah.
The wrist control I thought was awesome when he had him up against the cage and he used his his right arm to grab his right wrist, just to make sure that he couldn't post up on it very well. So he's holding on to that right arm and just smashing him with that left.
Yeah.
And like I said, I felt bad for Phillips, man. And then I was like, well, at least it'll be a quick fight. Then he made it into the second round. I was like, well, shit. He's going to have to endure this just a little bit longer.
Yeah. That Darce was sick, though.
No, for sure,
Darce chokes are always fun for me. Those are some of my favorite.
I really enjoyed watching Chimaev for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of him being active on top, also just active in general, he's fighting on the 25th again.
Yes, I was just about to point that out. Well, I mean, I think that's just Dana too. He was at the fights and he's like, well, this guy took 0 damage.
Yeah.
Right? He looks like he's somebody that's going to, be able to cause some trouble in the middleweight division. Let's see what he can do. Let's continue.
Yeah, well, he's actually a welterweight.
Some fights from.
He's actually a welterweight.
Oh, is he?
There was a middleweight fight, but he took it on short notice, so didn't have a crazy weight cut. So he's a welterweight fight. He fought, so it's even more impressive.
Smokes, man.
So
just imagine with that size and that strength.
If he can do that to a middleweight
welterweight division.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah,
so
he's
when
promising.
we think about when we think about Usman, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, we don't know where Chimaev's going to go. We might be throwing too much on his plate right now, but that could be an intriguing fight later on down the road if Usman still has the belt.
Yeah, welterweight just has a ton of good wrestlers. Just a ton of them.
No, yeah. And, the other thing I noticed from this fight is that no cornermen in the UFC know how to use a mask correctly.
I don't think they want to.
If you take a look at every single cornerman in the background, they all have their masks, like chin straps. I mean, they all got tested before they went, right? Like every single person, it's probably the safest place in the planet right now is Yaz Island.
Yeah. Because
they get tested 3 times before they even make it into the octagon. Yeah, exactly. That might be another place. But outside of New Zealand, we're probably talking Yaz Island.
Yeah.
Was there anything else on that fight you wanted to cover?
Not really. Just that dude's super impressive. The fact that he wants to fight again that quick also, and he already locked up a fight is so sick. So sick.
Yeah, July 25th, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm excited to see him go.
One to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, if he's active like that, that's how you fast track yourself. Especially if you can just be dominant like that. Like, he's going to skyrocket if he just keeps fighting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he does.
Yeah.
Because
he could get knocked out in his next 3 fights.
Really dominant performance.
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah.
He could. It's MMA.
I don't see it happening.
It happen.
Yeah.
I think your shirt says that, right? These things happen in MMA.
These things happen.
So you just don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully he's able to continue in this trajectory because he seems like he's going to be a very exciting fighter.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the casuals, if he continues with these dominant performances and then being these grappling matches, but it looks like he could do some work on his feet too.
Yeah, but think about it too. Even just his type of dominance on the ground. Yeah, a lot of casual people don't like Usman. He lost a lot of fans, and he didn't gain any against Masvidal. But with Chimaev's style, very similar to Khabib, where it's top control, but he's not just controlling you. Yeah,
exactly.
He's smashing you. So and casuals love Khabib because he's just so dominant, and just people just quit halfway through the fight, and I can see that happening with him.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's going to be a big name for Chimaev, right? Like there was for Khabib, because Khabib was a pretty big star for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that what really catapulted him was that big fight against Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
The lead up to it, right?
And then the way he followed through with it.
The way he followed through with it. So I think that it was just a recipe for something amazing to happen for Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be somebody like that for Chimaev.
At welterweight, I feel like welterweight's pretty
stars,
stacked.
Right?
Yeah, welterweight's pretty stacked, and stylistically, you look at the people who are at the top, and it's Usman, Covington, so like that style. There's a path to the top for that style, that heavy top game. I don't know if he has the cardio. That's the other thing that Usman and Covington have on top of their wrestling accolades is that their cardio, they can just keep going. So we'll see. He only went 2 rounds. I've never seen him fight before, so we'll see what he can do.
But you were impressed.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Shit was gnarly.
Right on, man. Right on. So I think one of the fights that we wanted to cover was one from Wednesday night, right? With Tim Elliott.
Fight Island 1. Yeah.
Fight Island 1, yes.
Yeah.
With Ryan Benoit. Yeah, so what'd you think about that one?
I thought that fight was awesome. Tim Elliott gets so much hate. Like if you go online and you go on like live threads of that fight, so many people shitting on Tim Elliott. And it's like every time he fights, it's exciting. His style is so fucking weird, and he brings it.
Do you remember when he fought DJ?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Johnson?
One of the best
brought
DJ
it then
fights
too, man.
Yeah, one of the best DJ fights.
It was. And watching DJ's fights, and one of the big things that people always complained about DJ's fights was that he was too dominant all the time. But going up against Tim Elliott, I felt like there was a couple times where he was in trouble.
Yeah, he was able to threaten him with some stuff. And just
the guillotine, remember?
Just so just so unorthodox in so many different spots of the fight. Like no matter where they go, he had like something he could throw out that you're like, oh shit, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, I'm on the same boat as you are, man. I've always enjoyed Tim Elliott. I feel like he's one of those really scrappy fighters.
Yeah. Really
exciting. He might take on more punishment than he needs to sometimes, but I think that's just a style of fighting that he likes.
Yeah.
He wants to bring excitement to his fights, but I've always enjoyed him. I have, and him being the tough winner that season again and getting a fight, DJ, I think made me like him a lot more right away.
Yeah, same. A lot of people. What did you think about the decision on that fight?
I was fine with it.
I thought Tim Elliott won. If you go online, people are acting like it was a robbery, which I don't understand. I mean, I get where they're coming from. They're like, Ryan landed the bigger shots, and like that matters. But at the same time, it's not just about who hits the hardest in a fight.
Yeah.
Like it does matter, but it's not the only thing that matters.
If you're in Ngannou, it matters.
Yeah.
Because that guy hits you and you're out, right?
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would just like to see who they throw in front of Elliot next, because Ryan Benoit, he's lost 3 out of his last 4.
Yeah.
So he's not the biggest name in the world. It was a good fight.
Yeah.
But I would just like to see them continue putting some bigger names in front of Elliot to see what he can do.
It's a hard division, though. It's a hard division to do that in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I take a look at the flyweight division, and I mean, we'll talk about Benavidez a little bit later. My heart's still broken on that one. But then after Benavidez, you have God, what's that Mexican fighter's name?
Moreno.
They call him Babyface Moreno.
Yeah, I love that guy. That guy's exciting.
He's another exciting fighter, scrappy fighter. I mean, he's got that old school Mexican fight style that everybody loves.
Yeah,
but
that dude's a gamer.
Yeah, I think that Elliot can still pose a problem for a lot of these, top 6, top 7 fighters.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, the problem though is that that division, I mean, it's hard because we're going to get into it later too, but I would imagine Moreno's next for the title.
Yeah.
So does that mean, does Tim Elliott get Benavidez now? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know, but the thing with this division is that it's a division that was almost taken away by Dana White.
Mm-hmm.
We were this close.
Yeah.
This close to having the division taken away. And in came Triple C. By the way, props to Triple C for doing that intro for us. I don't think we ever really talked about that before, but mad props. Yeah. But in comes Triple C and really saves the division. And you talk about how Elliot's fights are always exciting.
Yeah.
You would think they would want to continue tossing him in there with some of these bigger names just to see if we're able to generate more views.
Yeah, and for me also the narrative of him saving the division, technically yes he did, because Dana sat him down and said we're gonna take away the division, and he brought a big fight to that division, and then that ultimately saved it, but then he left it, and it's like you may have saved it, but you might have also just prolonged the death of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like it's almost inevitable now. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if it's inevitable, but I mean, with him going up and fighting at 135 for that belt, and then just ditching everything, and you retire when you retire. That's cool. I don't know if he's actually retired, but
talks, man.
What was that?
Money talks.
I mean, I feel like the retirement was literally just him saying, let's negotiate like this. And Dana was like, nah, he's retired. So, I mean.
Did you see that interview?
Yeah. The retirement seems very transparent.
Hey, Volkanovski, and Triple C's talking about Volkanovski. He's like, dude, that guy's retired. Yeah. I don't talk about anybody that's retired, right? Yeah. I move on. And I was just like, damn, like that?
Yeah.
Poor Triple C.
Well, because he knows, that division he was going to get rid of anyways. So it's like, and say what you want about Triple C and his accolades, but there's weird little caveats to all of his recent big wins, in my opinion. I don't want to discredit him or anything like that. Like, what he's done is crazy, but I mean, I had DJ winning their rematch. I didn't see Cejudo winning that fight. The TJ thing is just weird as hell. I think it was a terrible decision for TJ to go back down. If he fought TJ at 135, I think TJ beats him.
Different story.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz. Okay, he beat Dominic Cruz in 2019 or was it 2020? It must have been this year.
Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah, I mean Dominic Cruz. I used to watch Dominic Cruz fight 10 years ago. So cool. He beat Dominic Cruz in the first round for a belt.
Whoa. You said you didn't want to discredit what he's done, but it kind of
but here I am discrediting
what he's done.
Yeah, whatever. I'll go for it. Yeah, discredit it. I don't his MMA accolades, in my opinion, everything he's done that's very major that everybody says he's potentially a GOAT because of, all those things, there's weird little caveats to me. You know, he fought a scarecrow in TJ at 125. He fought an old man past his prime in Cruz for 135.
What do you have to say about Marlon Moraes, though?
Yeah, that's impressive. That was impressive.
Right?
That's the one thing that
he was getting beat up
impressive.
that first round, man.
100%.
He was getting beat up that first round. And as he says, having that drive to be able to come back out in the second round and do what he did, you know, I know Triple C gets on a lot of people's nerves, right? He's the king of cringe. Dude, whenever I see him do all these little antics, you know, before he starts his press conferences or, you know, it gets under my skin too. But it's kind of hard to deny what this guy's done
100%.
in mixed martial arts.
And
the DJ fight was very close.
Yeah, very close. And I understand it wasn't a robbery in my opinion, but I did have DJ winning it. And it's not his fault that when he fights TJ at 125 that TJ's has no fluid in his brain, and it's not his fault that when he goes up and fights Dominic Cruz for the belt that it's Dominic Cruz that he's fighting. It's not his fault that those are the people that he's presented with. So when he fights someone like Marlon Moraes, he did
what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, you can't fault him for what he did. First round finishes for both of them. Was the first round for Dominic as well? It was, right? Or was it second round?
I don't remember. I think it might have been second round.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at that one.
Yeah, regardless, it was quick, and he was never in any danger.
And he finished him.
Yeah, and he finished him. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is...
Was that the first time that Dominic had gotten finished, if I remember correctly? You know, and...
Yeah.
Well, other than in the UFC, at least.
Yeah.
Because in WEC, I know Uriah Faber choked him out with the guillotine. But I still think that what he did was very impressive. Again,
It's
DJ,
impressive.
a lot of people still say that he was in his prime.
I
Was
still
it a
think
close
DJ
fight?
is in his prime still now.
Yeah, exactly. Was it a close fight? Yes, absolutely. But a lot of people say it could have gone either way, and I agree. It could have gone either way.
Yeah.
DJ would have won that fight. I would have been happy with it. Triple C won the fight.
Wait, but who
I
did you
was fine
think?
with it.
Who did you think won the fight?
I actually had Triple C
Okay.
by one round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Triple C by one round. But again, going into that last, or before they called the winner, they announced the winner, I just remember thinking, I'm fine with whoever wins that.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a good fight. It was extremely close. So I'm fine with that. And again, the way that he took out Marlon Moraes, I thought was extremely impressive.
That's a big win.
Because Marlon Moraes is no punk, man.
Yeah, that's a big one. Especially with the adversity he had to overcome in that fight. But again, I don't know. The big things that he's known for accomplishing late in his career all have weird little and it's the same thing with Chris Weidman. People gave Chris Weidman a lot of problems with Anderson Silva stuff because the first time, you caught him while he was being cocky. The second one, it was a fluke accident. You broke his leg. Yeah, so and I don't discredit him for those. So.
Well, yeah, I know, and we can go back and forth on these all day, right?
Yeah.
Because when I think about Weidman, Anderson Silva had been cocky with a lot of other people, and they couldn't put him away.
Yeah.
Right? Anderson Silva leg kicked the shit out of a lot of other people, but they didn't check it the way that Chris Weidman did.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to discrediting some of these fighters for what they do. But at the end of the day, man, they're making that walk into the octagon.
100%.
A very small percent of human beings in the entire world know what that feels like.
Definitely.
So we got to give him all the credit in the world. And the fact that he no matter who he fought.
Yeah.
Right, in the flyweight division, in the bantamweight division, the fact that he went in there and was able to hold the belt in both of those divisions at the same time, I think says a lot about the guy. Right?
100%.
So I don't know. Again, king of cringe. He frustrated me a lot of times, but I think the fact that he went ahead and did that intro for us, I got a soft spot for the guy.
Yeah,
now.
With that, I'll always be a fan just because of the intro.
I will say this, though. He's like the Kanye West of MMA, where nobody loves Kanye the way Kanye loves Kanye.
Yeah.
Nobody loves Triple C the way Triple C loves Triple C.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll go and move on, man, if you want to.
Yeah.
The next fight?
Ige and Kattar.
Oh, you want to go into Ige versus Kattar?
Yeah, just briefly,
because
it went exactly how I thought it was going to. Ige's super tough and he's never going to quit. But, I mean...
What a fun fight, though.
Yeah, fun fight. And... If anything, I'm high on Kattar, but I thought he could have looked better in that fight.
Man, I agree, but we also have to think about the fact that he's fighting Ige, and Ige looks extremely tough.
Yeah,
Ige's no punk in there.
He's a bull.
He is. And with Kattar, my favorite thing was actually the press conference afterwards, because he pointed out a couple of really important things. One of the things that he pointed out was that he's active.
Yeah.
You take a look at Korean Zombie. You take a look at Brian Ortega. You take a look at Zabit.
Yeah.
When's the last time they fought?
I know, yeah. Long layoffs.
Right? Long layoffs. And he said that they're having all this Twitter beef while he's handling his business in the octagon. Yeah. And I thought that was an excellent point.
Yeah.
He's walking the walk right now while all these other guys are talking the talk. Not to say that they're not great fighters, because they are. But Kattar's been extremely active. He continues asking to be active, and I respect the hell out of him for that.
Yeah.
And because of that, though, I think that he can actually go into one of these fights with either a Brian Ortega or another one of these top fighters with somewhat of an advantage because he's been so active. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that too. I do think I think he should fight Holloway next. I know we talked about that in the last one after Holloway's fight, but I do think that's the fight to make because everybody else is booked up. Zabit Yair.
Take my money.
Yeah, Zabit Yair. Fantastic. Ortega versus Korean Zombie, fantastic. Kattar versus Holloway, awesome. I don't know where that leaves the champ of the division. Everybody else is all booked.
I mean, we could set up like a small tournament leading into to see who fights the champ.
Yeah, and
why not?
I would imagine winner of Korean Zombie versus Ortega gets the title shot. I would guess, especially because Korean Zombie's already planting his seeds for the drama behind that fight, which doesn't seem right coming from Korean Zombie. He's always super chill. Seems kind of weird that he's... I don't think it's him.
I don't think it's him either.
Yeah.
I really don't. Yeah. He's always come off as just a classic fighter from, Asia or from Korea just or the Japanese, where they're always extremely respectful. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're really known for, the respectful warriors. And so seeing him with all this Twitter beef and posting this about Brian Ortega and posting this about how he's ashamed to have a champion in his division, like Volkanovski, and it's like, what are you talking about, dude? This isn't
super
him.
Weird.
This has got to be somebody on his management team.
Yeah.
It's got to be that one guy
Park.
that Brian Ortega slapped.
Yeah.
Jay Park. Yeah, and I actually saw an interview where Kattar said that. He's like, maybe whoever it is needs to get slapped by Brian Ortega one more time. Because they're talking all this nonsense, man. But it definitely doesn't seem like Korean Zombie. But yeah, I mean, Kattar, just get him back in there as soon as possible. I love watching him fight. Quite honestly, when I'm thinking about the featherweight division, I'm thinking, man, maybe I'm crazy, but I want to see a trilogy.
Between Max and Volk?
Yes. And I know that it's been 2 losses, right, for Max Holloway. I think the first one Volkanovski had. I really do. I think he did enough to win that belt.
I agree.
Second one, even though I scored it for Volkanovski, I still think that fight was so close. It could have gone either way.
Yeah.
A lot of people I've spoken to have actually said that they give it to Holloway.
Myself included.
You listen to, yourself included. You listen to Rogan. You listen to a lot of these other major MMA outlets, and they point at Holloway as well. So maybe I'm just way off on this. I've already rewatched it. I still gave it slightly to Volkanovski. But man, I would love seeing that fight a third time.
Yeah, in my opinion, you can't do it immediately though, just because you can't hold up when you have a bunch of killers like Kattar, Zabit, Yair, Korean Zombie, Ortega. Like we have to get that train moving. So I think Holloway has to do something. In my opinion, Holloway's path back to a fight against Volkanovski, assuming that Volkanovski continues to defend his belt, I think Holloway should fight Kattar. I think he does beat Kattar. I'm not going to say that Kattar has no chance. He could definitely win. I could see him winning too, but I would say Holloway would be the favorite in that fight. And if Holloway beats Kattar, he can fight the loser of Ortega versus Korean Zombie or Zabit after Zabit beats Yair, which I think will probably happen. That's his path back. And that's assuming Volkanovski continues to defend, because if Korean Zombie and Ortega fight and one of them looks super impressive, do they have to wait for Volkanovski Holloway 3? That seems like unfair, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I would love to see that fight again. That both their fights have been entertaining to me, you know?
And I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the UFC does say, you know, because even Dana White scored it for Holloway.
Yeah.
First thing he said in the press conference when they were talking about the Holloway fight, he said, who in here had it for Volkanovski? Nobody?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Right. So we've seen Dana before say, you know, you might have lost on the scorecard for the judges, but I had you winning, very much like Aldo.
I was about to say,
so here's this other title shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I wouldn't mind it. I get what you're saying, though. It'd hold up the division. But I think Max can be considered at this point one of the greats of all time in that division.
Mm-hmm. It's
so
him and Aldo.
If anybody deserves it, I think it's Max Holloway.
Yeah, agreed. It's hard though when if it was a rematch like it was an immediate rematch, that's a tough sell for some people. I think 3 though, people start to forget the narrative of what actually happened. Like you said, a lot of people have Holloway winning, but as time passes, it's just a loss. It becomes more of a loss that people forget. Oh, but it was actually this close and all this stuff, you know. So it's hard to sell.
Yeah, I guess, man. Whatever. I'm sure Holloway will be back, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Arman versus Ramos.
Yeah. That was sweet. Sweet.
Yeah. What do you think?
Ramos is also
Ramos, you're right.
Very dangerous. That dude's sick. He's fun to watch. But man, how do you say his name? Tsarukyan. There it is. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going to try, dude.
Sounds like a Street Fighter move.
Ramos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just butchered Ramos, so I'm not even going to try that other name.
Tsarukyan. That guy is so complete. He's so complete. He throws everything stand up. He's throwing spinning back fists, low line calf kicks. His 1-2 is crisp. He throws feints and then throws the left hook to the body. That's
what I was gonna say. His body shots were awesome, man.
Really good. He's throwing knees to the body, step in knees to the body. He's getting takedowns. Had good top control. Had good ground and pound from guard. And he's 23 years old. That shit pisses me off. He's a year younger than me now. You know what I mean? And now what am I doing? This guy's out here, a complete martial artist.
Yeah, imagine how I feel, man.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you though. Ramos came out extremely aggressive.
Ramos
came out extremely aggressive the first and second round, right? And I just feel like Arman had an answer for everything.
Yeah.
And just kept on chipping away at the body, chipping away at the legs, and by the time the third round came around, he just started picking them apart altogether.
He was a step ahead of him at that point. Yeah. Yeah, he just slowly passed him up. Slowly, but surely.
Yeah, and I just thought it was an easy, unanimous decision.
Yeah, easy.
For Arman.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I love the call-out of Eli Quinta.
Yeah, great fight. What a great fight.
I know. As soon as he said that, I was like, all right. Yeah. All right, yes. I could totally see that one coming up here soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so now that we're on to Fight Island 2, where people talk shit. Yeah, people talk shit about Fight Island 1 being all decisions. Fight Island 2 just whizzed on right by. There was so many finishes.
Super quick.
Yeah, so many finishes. I mean, there was two decisions on the main card. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was one of the fastest cards I can remember.
Damn. Yeah, it was 7:30 here when it was over. 7:30.
Yeah.
I love it.
Crazy.
I was stuck.
No, yeah.
I was stuck. I got home at 5 o'clock. Well, no, I got home at like 5:30, 5:45. I worked till 5. And then it was like already almost over. I was like, oh shit. What happened here?
You had to go back and watch some stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to see. I had to go back and watch Lipski. I had to go back and watch Arman. When I started, there was only 3 fights left. It's crazy.
Okay, so one of those names you just mentioned, though, Lipski.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that you got some beef.
I don't have
with Lipski.
Also, listening back to the first one we did, we might want to rename this podcast to "With All Due Respect."
Yeah.
I think we said "With all due respect" like 10 times that last episode before talking a little bit of shit about everybody.
Hey, that just goes to show. One, we have a lot of respect for everybody.
Correct.
And like Ricky Roberts in Talladega Nights says, as long as you say "with all due respect" before you say it, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Lipski, tell me about her. I know that when we were texting back and forth, I kind of had mentioned how I was pretty impressed with her, and you weren't. Where's your thought process around that?
I mean, I'm impressed with the submission itself in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. Super cool, and it's impressive to watch. But at the same time, she's had a lot of eyes on her for 2 reasons coming into the UFC. One is the same Paige Van Zandt effect. You know what I mean? And then the other is people are impressed.
Wait, when you say Paige Van Zandt effect, what do you mean by
that? Just visually. I mean, come on.
So she's good looking. She's easy on the eyes.
What are we doing here?
Got it.
Come on.
What do we do?
She could be a ring card girl.
Yeah.
You know? But other people are high on her tenacity in the fight game. And people have been high on her since she joined the UFC for those reasons. And I think one weighs more than the other for her. And technically speaking, she did a lot of things wrong. It was a quick fight. What was it? It was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Minute and 30 seconds. But in that minute and a half, the takeaway is the knee bar, which ultimately should be the takeaway. But when you start looking at what led up to that knee bar, man, her striking is just
not very technical.
She throws not a lot of wasted energy from when she starts to throw a punch to where she lands the punch. Very straight shots. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of times she's quick. But it's that same thing that you see sometimes where almost like Derek Brunson, where you're throwing these strikes, and as you're throwing your combo, your head is literally this the whole way. So you have these punches, and you're just this, and it's like you don't want your head to be frozen there. What are you doing? And granted, it was only a minute, so if that fight kept going and it was a stand-up fight, I don't know much about who she fought. But I would imagine it's kind of a step down. Because she's had some losses already in the UFC, so they got to you know how that goes. But
so she had a 9-fight winning streak before she went into UFC.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first heard about her, I was really excited to see what she'd be able to do in the flyweight division. They put her up against Calderwood.
Yeah.
She loses that fight. They put her up against McCann. She loses that fight.
Yeah.
So I guess what was impressive for me was coming up from that.
Yeah.
And seeing that she came out with that Curitiba, Brazil aggressive style right away, right?
And I
was
agree with
able
that.
and was able to get the fight down to the ground. And that knee bar, oh man.
One of the nastiest submissions in UFC history, honestly. It can go down as that.
Your knee's not supposed to bend that way.
No. Her opponent said that she heard 3 pops. X-rays were negative. Last I checked, they were waiting for MRIs. I haven't seen anything since, but not supposed to bend that way.
Oh man,
just brutal. And you could hear with the no crowd, you could hear her screaming underneath everything.
Oh, that was the worst part. That loud screech and that scream she left off at the end. She's tapping and screaming,
And the grimace on Lipski's face is just like, fuck. So
she's
gnarly.
Evil, man.
Yeah.
But what's her nickname? The Violent Queen?
Yeah, Queen of Violence, I think now.
Queen of Violence or something like that. But dude, she lived up to her name because she had that grin on her face while she's pulling that leg back and that knees. I'm sure she heard those pops too, and that's probably what made her have a smile on her face. She's evil.
She's like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah. But man, that's one of the nastiest submissions I can think of in a long time. At least in
recent memory,
because you see, in recent memory, just because you see the knee hyperextend.
It was bad.
And hearing that scream was something that kind of made me
And not to mention, she was in a submission herself.
Yeah, the calf slicer.
She out submission to submission, which the calf slicer wasn't a perfect calf slicer, and that goes back to, in my opinion, the what I was kind of disappointed in technically is the striking. She gave up her back super easily, fell into that calf slicer position super easily, but ultimately that doesn't matter because she got the knee bar. You know,
I think she's only like a purple belt or something like that in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, better than me.
She's really known. She's really known for Muay Thai.
Yeah,
I know, right? But still, for her to pull out that knee bar when she was in the middle of the submission herself, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So overall, like I said, I'm pretty impressed with her. Mm-hmm. Yes, if you think about Carolina, the girl she fought in the level. Of fighting that she brought in, it was a little bit of a step down,
which is fine.
But I think that's the UFC seeing that she lost those two first fights.
Yeah,
they had high hopes for her. Let's build her up a little bit and get her back, into some bigger names.
Yeah, unfortunately, this might make people forget that knee bar is going to be the story of her every time someone talks about her now. But before this, for me, it was the fake glove touch to get knocked down right after in her last fight. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that. She
goes to touch gloves and then pulls back to throw a check hook instead of the glove touch when the other fighter reaches out. And then it gets dropped like the next combo. It's like, man, it was just one of those instant karmas.
I think that's karma.
Yeah, 100%.
Immediate karma.
Yeah, instant karma.
All right, so next fight. I think you want to talk about Gastelum?
Real quick though, Fiziev.
Oh my God! Yeah, we don't want to skip.
Oh my God, that guy is
what
impressive.
A beast!
Yeah. Jacasey, the guy he fought, is also. He doesn't have the wins to pull off the impressive resume or anything like that, but that guy,
he's a tough opponent.
He's a tough opponent. Super unique striking out of him, and super powerful. That guy throws hard.
Yeah, he does.
And Fiziev, man, that guy is impressive. That looks like somebody playing a video game.
He kept on putting nonstop pressure on him to where he couldn't really do anything.
Couldn't do anything. And his counters, oh my God. It's rare when you see someone being the... he's the one starting every combo, and with his volume is super high, and he's constantly attacking you. But then also, when you do try to counter him, he just dodges it, counters back. And it's like, man, he had the offensive output up front, and then the counters on the back end, which is super rare to see somebody be able to put those two together in the same fight. It seemed everything he did worked.
What was the guy's name? Jacasey?
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 Yeah.
Right? When coming in with those high the head kicks.
Oh my God.
And he would straight up pull the Matrix move.
Yeah.
And just lean all the way back.
Yeah.
And you would just see dude.
And then sometimes counter off of it.
Somebody do that. You see that in boxing every once in a while?
Yeah.
But the way he would just lean back and, like you said, just straight counter with the right after that.
Which is crazy to go back that far and then still be able to counter. It's crazy. That guy's impressive.
And so I put myself in Jacasey's shoes, and everything I'm throwing at this guy, he's countering.
Yeah.
And even when he's not using his footwork, he's still dodging everything I'm throwing at him
just with
these weird body angles.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do at this point?
Yeah, what can you do? You just keep throwing.
What's it going to take?
Lands.
Yeah, and you started seeing that from Jacasey a little bit. He came through with some just like oddball spinning back fist from weird positions.
And not to discredit him, he did land big shots as well. He did have. It's not like he didn't land anything the whole fight, you know.
But it was a dominant performance.
Yeah, definitely.
And with Jacasey at the end, I think that he's still somebody that has power. Even in the third round, I was still excited, even though it was a lopsided fight.
Yeah.
Because Jacasey has a type of power where one big shot can put the other person asleep.
Yeah. And the guy's in great shape.
He couldn't win.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
So third round isn't like it's not like he's done by the third. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was a good fight though.
Yeah. Fiziev is Piotr Jan's striking coach, and that shows.
Really?
That shows. That guy's
Fiziev's
savage.
Piotr Jan striking coach, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guy's a savage.
Well, he can, you know what they say, that those who can do teach?
Yeah.
It seems like dude can teach and do it himself as well. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
All right,
I'm impressed on that guy.
All right, you want to move on to the next one?
Kelvin. And the roller coaster of Kelvin Gastelum's career. Holy shit, man.
This might be one of those fighters where when everything's said and done, I'm going to say that he never lived up to his full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. He might have peaked with the Izzy fight.
Adesanya fight?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
It's probably
Don't
his peak.
say that. That sucks.
I know, but
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the division, Darren Till's beat him. I don't think he beats Robert Whittaker. I don't think he
He's
beats
in the
Yoel
wrong
Romero.
division.
Yeah, 100%.
This guy's problem is that he can't lay off the weed,
Yeah.
right? And he can't lay off the tamales.
Yeah.
Those are his two bugaboos.
Yeah.
Can't get away from them, right? But that's what I've heard from a lot of different people is that Calvin loves to smoke his weed.
Yeah.
And, you know, do whatever you want, man. But you are a professional athlete exactly. The person on your shirt is somebody that's been able to be an elite athlete, right?
Your shirt too?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But with Calvin, he's somebody that seems that he's always had a problem with his weight.
Yeah.
Right? Even when he was at 170, he had a lot of missed weight cuts. And even at 185 now, man, he's having to cut weight.
I mean,
he's having to cut weight.
He was forced to 185. People forget that. A lot of people are like, yeah, he should go back to 170. It's like, no.
He was going to be dropped.
He was forced to go to 185.
He was going to be dropped if he didn't go to 185.
Yeah.
By the UFC because of all his missed weights.
Yeah. And the talent is so high. So high.
Yeah.
But just...
Yeah. Man, that nice reversal he had when he was being taken down.
It was great.
Right, the lat toss. And I think people forget a lot of the times that Calvin was a state championship wrestler in high school. He was a collegiate wrestler as well. When he was in Tough and he fought Uriah Hall, I don't know if you remember how high everybody was on Uriah Hall.
Yeah,
and
nobody gave Kelvin a shot at that.
Nobody gave Kelvin a shot. But with his wrestling, he was able to take away all of Uriah's Hall fantasy striking.
Yeah.
But something happened along the road where he started knocking people out with that right hand, and he was like, oh, shit, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Right? So he's relied on his power quite a bit, and he's done a great job with his power. I mean, Tim Kennedy, one of my favorite fighters, one of my favorite Americans. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Freaking Tim Kennedy.
Hunting Hitler.
Yeah, dude. I mean, how can you hate that guy?
Yeah.
Right? He's like our real life G.I. Joe. Yeah, probably, but not in this country.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're terrorists.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then the fights against Jacare Souza.
Yeah.
As well. So he's knocked out a lot of big names. But again, just seeing that lat toss on that reversal made me remember the wrestling skills that he has. Yeah,
it's almost like
there, but
it's like Chuck. Chuck was a great wrestler, and he used it just to sprawl and brawl. Kelvin's the same way.
Yep. Yeah, but I think that he's just leaving so much on the table, and the way that he was getting up so nonchalantly from the ground. It was just so lackadaisical, and that's what really he put himself right into the heel hook.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't explode. If you take a look at the video again, he didn't explode out of that.
No.
He just turned and just tried to stand up like he normally would.
And he didn't try to push off with his other foot. Like, he just kind of... It was just like, what are you doing, man? How often are you rolling?
Once he feels that heel hook in there, you could see he's trying to really yank it out of there. Mm-hmm. But it was so deep.
And credit to Hermanson.
Hermanson is... Yeah, Hermanson is a really strong dude, man.
Yeah.
He capitalized on the opportunity. It fell right in his lap or in his arm, right, wherever you want to say, and he capitalized on it. But Kelvin, man, just so much talent, and I mean, this is somebody who I like too because he's from San Jose. He was born in San Jose, California, right, so very close to home.
Doesn't rep it.
So I've always cheered for him.
Yeah.
Does not rep California at all. No. I think he reps Arizona, the AZ more than anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, all those small things for me being Hispanic, he's a big name Hispanic fighter, somebody who really takes pride in his culture and talks about his culture.
Not a ton in the UFC.
No, not a ton in the UFC,
boxing,
man.
The list is endless, but in MMA, it's not.
Do you remember when we went to the live fight and we saw Yair versus Edgar, Frankie Edgar? And there's a giant crowd, with the Mexican flag, and they're just chanting. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Halfway through the first round, it was the most quiet section in the arena.
Man, that was
he got
brutal.
his ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
But, like you said, there's not too many Mexican fighters in there.
Yeah.
And, again, Kelvin is very proud of his heritage, very proud of his culture. And there's just so many things that made me fall in love with Kelvin.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a big fan of Tough. I've mentioned Tough plenty of times already on our podcast. So I followed him since. And it's uber frustrating.
Yeah, and
see
just recently,
ride.
Yeah, just recently was in one of the best UFC fights ever against Adesanya.
Not just for the division.
Yeah,
one of the best fights ever. And I mean, it also makes you wonder how much did he leave in that octagon, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was at the end of that fight was
so many deposits before you have to make a withdrawal, man.
Yeah,
and that was a brutal fight.
It was bad at the end.
He talks about how he went into depression after those losses, right? When he lost to Adesanya, and then I believe he lost to Till right after that, if I remember correctly. And he went into depression, had even more weight gain.
Yeah.
So for him, the best thing for Kelvin might be taking some time away from the octagon and just getting things right mentally.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, okay, the UFC lets him fight at 170, because I mean, when you look at the top of 185, there's no future there in my opinion, and it's like you look at 170 now, and is there a future there for him even?
We don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing, we don't know. Like you said, right now he might not have a future in the top of 185.
Yeah, I would confidently say he doesn't at 185.
See, so with that in mind, you're confidently saying he doesn't have a future in 185. We don't know at 170.
Yeah.
So why not go for 170 and see what we're able to do? I think that he could be a serious contender at 170.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, he very well could be.
Shit, dude, with his height, I know he's a stocky guy, but he might even be able to make 155.
I don't know. He's got a wide frame.
Get a nutritionist. Stop smoking weed. You stop getting the munchies, right?
Yeah.
And just be focused on what it is that you're trying to do.
I don't see it
Have
happening.
some discipline. Yeah, I don't see it happening. You know what? You're right. Let's get it at 155. Let's just focus on 170. But he could be a problem at 170 for a lot of different people, man.
Yeah. I mean, he hits
Can he beat
hard
Usman?
as hell.
I don't know. Right? He has a strong wrestling background. He has that strong right. And that's the other thing. Right, if he starts dropping 170, I don't know if all that power is going to be there on the right hand.
I think it'll be there.
You think so?
Yeah, because I don't think it's not like when he bulks up to 185. It's not like he's bulking up a ton of lower body muscles, and it's not like, I mean, it's literally just. It's not like it's not like he's like real fat.
And tortillas.
Yeah. It's not like he's just like super fat or anything like that, but it's not like what he's gaining at 185 is, I don't think, contributing to his power, in my opinion.
That's a good point.
If he drops,
I don't know though, man.
You never know.
I know some heavy ass Mexicans that can punch pretty hard, and it's all due to the lard they put in all that food, dude.
Yeah.
It's like spinach for Popeye.
Yeah.
That lard is for us Mexicans, dude. I'm telling you. Right, bro. From one Latino to another with Benavides, man.
Yeah.
Oh. I'll let you start off on this one, man, because this one really bummed me out.
Yeah. Again, it's that division we talked about earlier, and Benavides is just such a good dude. And What's crazy is for me, anytime I talk about Benavidez, I almost have to bring up Megan, and it's
I
like
know.
they're just both so cool. They're both so
They're a power
cool.
couple, dude.
Yeah, when the UFC switched to ESPN, I was so worried that Megan was gone. I think she's such a good like analyst, or not analyst, but
Like reporter, sideline reporter, if you were
yeah,
to
she's
say.
just so good at that.
Yeah.
And has been doing it for so long. Like,
All right. Quick question:
yeah,
Laura Sanko or Megan O'Leary? Watch your P's and Q's, bro.
yeah, you got to go Megan, dude.
Oh, how dare you!
She's so good. And respect to Karen Bryant too. She's out there still doing it as well. Karen Bryant's sick.
True.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, Benavidez. It's just so hard to hate him. It's the whole. I mean, the whole. When you go back and you look at chunks of or like eras, like the Lyoto, the Machida era, and all these different eras, Anderson Silva, all this stuff, and then you look at not just an individual, but you just look at Team Alpha Male, that era when the
Yeah.
WEC got brought over, and you have all these guys, Uriah Faber, the rivalry with Dominic
Chad
Cruz,
Mendes.
Chad Mendez, Danny Castillo, Benavidez, just so many, and it's like it was just such a cool part of like MMA's history, you know.
Yeah.
And Benavidez is right there during the whole thing, and it's like, man, never winning a title, and he finally gets a shot, a winnable fight. He's winning the fight, gets KO'd, and it's like, but he missed weight, so we still have a chance. And then we go back, and it's just one of the most one-sided rounds. It was so bad. I mean, if that
right
wasn't
there
a
with you.
10-7, you know, god damn.
So
that
when
was
we
brutal.
talk about story of the fight, right? This
Yeah.
is mine.
100%. There's a reason I haven't brought it up until we got to this point.
Yeah, it's again a big fan of Benavidez, just like you, because Team Alpha Male was for us a local team,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? And following Uriah Faber and a lot of these guys from the WEC days turning
Yeah.
into the UFC, it was just there was something special about Team Alpha Male.
They ran it.
Mhm.
It was so dominant. It was just like you look at when AKA had Cain Velasquez as champ. They had Luke Rockhold at the same time. They had Habib. They had DC. It was like, and again local, so it was a little bit biased, but it's like just running a chunk of MMA for a time. And Team Alpha Male with the smaller guys, it was just they just ran it. They were so good, so dominant.
And for the longest time, you would hear he's training at a Team Alpha Male, and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna bring some heat.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna.
You got to watch
this
out
guy.
for his guillotines.
Mm-hmm.
His grappling's going to be on point. He's going to be scrappy.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different things that just were synonymous with Team Alpha Male. And like you said, since I think we covered on the last podcast too, it's dissolved quite a bit.
It's sad.
Just a small portion of what it was in the past, and it breaks my heart. But you know, we've still seen some fights from Uriah Faber lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see any more. We might have seen the last of Uriah Faber. He hasn't officially re-retired.
Yeah.
And when we still see Benavidez, Cody Garbrandt, to some extent TJ Dillashaw,
Yeah.
right? You remember what Team Alpha Male was.
Yeah.
But outside of the whole Team Alpha Male, Joe Benavidez has always been somebody since I started watching MMA that has carried himself extremely well.
Yeah.
And from what all these other MMA outlets say, other fighters, people working in the UFC, everybody loves Joe Benavidez.
Yeah.
Because everybody says that when they meet Joe Benavidez, they come out a better person.
Yeah.
I remember reading about him. He used to be addicted to drugs in the past as well. So it's one of those underdog stories with Joe Benavidez where he's just been working towards something his entire life.
Yeah.
Right? He hit the lowest of lows, rock bottom, and he has an opportunity, right, to be a world champion in his division.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a true like American dream type story.
Yeah.
So you're just rooting for the guy.
Yeah.
Right?
6 times.
And yeah, and he went into the last fight, right? Their first fight against Figueroa, thinking that's his last title shot.
Yeah, and then
he gets pulled away from one.
He gets pulled away from him. He didn't even fight for the belt. You know?
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Exactly. Well, if he would have won, he still would have won the belt because it was only a title fight for him.
True. Yeah, but
right?
true. But the stakes are different.
Yes. Yes. You know? Exactly.
I mean, in the back of his mind, he probably knew if I lose this fight, I probably will get a shot immediately. You know,
maybe. I mean, we just don't know.
You never know.
The
You never
thing
know.
that sucks
It
is
ended up working that way, but
the
we
second
never know.
opportunity was presented to him. That's what we do know.
Yeah.
And he talked about how well he prepared. He felt better going into this fight, and I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
He went in there with a lot of confidence. He seemed very poised in the weigh-ins during the face-off. There was something really calm about him going into the fight.
Yeah.
And I had really high hopes, man. I really did.
Me too. And it sucks because I really like I'm gonna butcher this name, Figueroa.
Close enough, bro.
I'll take it. I really like him. That guy is interesting as hell, especially for that division.
Yeah.
In my opinion, better for that division than Cejudo, just because God damn, that guy's fun to watch.
Figueiredo is violent, man.
He's so good.
Dana said it too.
Yeah.
He's super violent.
And way more so than anybody in the history of that division. Nobody has been like him in that division. I mean, he's terrifying.
He is.
So it sucks.
I think that's been one of the knocks on the flyweight division for the longest time, right? Because people love seeing knockouts. People love seeing the heavier hits.
Yeah,
and
but at the same
one
time,
of the reasons why DJ never took off in the United States was because he was very technical in a lot of aspects, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, wrestling, but he didn't have those highlight reel finishes other than that crazy armbar he got.
Yeah, but I mean, he KO'd Cejudo in the clinch. Like he did have those things
with the knees.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's different than.
But do you remember any of those highlights being like this one that you just saw from Figueiredo?
Yeah, for me, yes. But it's not the one punch fuck you power. That's different. It's different when someone has a bunch of TKOs versus like I'm gonna eat this shot, but we're both gonna land and you're gonna be on the ground. That's the kind of confidence that Figueiredo has. I think crazy.
That's what people like to see, though.
100%.
Right? And again,
I get it.
I'm not saying that DJ wasn't good. What I'm saying is that that's probably one of the knocks on the flyweight division.
Yeah.
Was that people don't expect to see that very much. Mm-hmm. Now, if Figueiredo can continue doing this,
I mean, that's 3 in a row.
Yeah, with that kind of punching power, the flyweight division might be very exciting here for the next few years as long as he's reigning with that title.
Yeah, what bothers me is people are already saying they want to see him go up to bantamweight, and it's like, no,
let's keep him in the division.
Yeah,
the flyweight division needs him.
Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, I don't see anybody giving him problems because his one downside from what I've seen is he eats shots. His defensive striking isn't really like he just doesn't care. Zero.
You saw that a little bit with Benavidez. Benavidez landed a couple of good shots.
Yeah, zero respect for other people's stand up, and I think he can. If you look at that division, I think he gets away with that. That's his one downside is he doesn't respect people's power, but I think he's almost right to because he knows we're both going to land, but it's different when he hits you,
Yeah.
He'll eat those shots.
My biggest question coming out of this is not necessarily will he be a dominant champion. I think he will be.
Yeah.
For me, it's will he be able to continue cutting that weight because it's a hard weight cut for him.
And I think that's also why people are saying go to bantamweight. But I mean, I think he will. People miss weight sometimes. It's a stain on them, but I mean, I don't see it continuing to be like a problem he always has. Especially now he's got champion money. It's different when you're a champ. You take it more seriously, probably.
Well, as long as he can lay off that acai, he'll be fine.
I think he should stay on it.
Oh man, did you see that the press conference, the post-fight press conference?
Yeah.
Man, when Benavidez cries, we all cry.
Yeah.
And when he cries, man. I feel like an angel loses his wings.
Yeah.
Because again, at the very end, where he's talking about the work he's put in his career for this point, the fact that he didn't think he was going to get another title shot, and he did. And what really got to him was when he started talking about his wife and how his wife makes him feel like he's the best every day.
So bad.
So he's still thankful. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. Did you see her tweet too?
Yeah, I saw her tweet and her Instagram post. And
yeah.
again, it was just something that was extremely heartbreaking for me to to watch.
To have that all be so public is just like, fuck, man. You just really respect what the hell, like what goes into fighting. It's so gnarly.
Yeah. And he said he didn't want to go out like this. So it looks like if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like he wants to pick up one more fight and go out on a good note, on a high note. Right?
Fucking give
so
him
the real
Tim
question
Elliott.
would be,
that's
what I was gonna say. Who would be next for Benavidez?
Yeah, give him Tim
He already
Elliott.
fought Tim Elliott.
Yeah, and I think, and the problem with that division is I think he beats everybody, other than the champ. I think Moreno could give him problems, but I think there's still like a weird that experience gap that Benavidez has in that division specifically is just so high.
And if you're the UFC, you don't want to give Moreno to Benavidez because Benavidez would probably be able to get that win. So what do you do with Moreno now?
Yeah.
If he's next in line,
I think
you can't give him the championship fight after that.
Yeah,
you have to give Moreno the title shot next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why you can't go Joe Benavidez versus Moreno.
Yeah, because I really do think Benavidez beats everybody else.
So do I.
So you can't have him.
So this brings me to a big question for you, Will. Because in honor of this Benavidez loss, who do you think has been the best fighter in your eyes to never have won a title in the UFC?
Is that excluding people who never fought in the UFC?
Yes.
Okay.
Just in the UFC.
Okay, because Fedor is the obvious answer there, but
yeah, I was gonna say Fedor too if we use external, but because of that, I would ask you in UFC.
I know a lot of people go Faber, which is understandable. A lot of people will go Benavidez, but in my opinion, it's hard to decide, and there's different factors contributing to each one. But for me, it's hard for me to decide between three people, and it's Alistair Overeem.
Dan Henderson?
I don't count it because he won a tournament championship in '98.
Okay.
So I don't count that. Otherwise, I would. So
you have Alistair?
Yeah, Alistair, just because he's so goddamn decorated. The only thing he hasn't won is a UFC belt.
It's a UFC belt, yeah.
I mean, he's won boxing championships, kickboxing. He's won MMA belts. He's done everything but the UFC belt. So Overeem, Rory McDonald.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Rory McDonald, and Jacare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did ask the one person one, and he gave me three, but it's okay. So
you're damn right.
I like how you snaked out of that one.
If you're gonna force me to choose, I'm gonna go Rory.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go Rory.
That's a good pick, man. That's a really good pick.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, I thought about Alistair Overeem as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, extremely decorated. Everywhere outside of the UFC. And not to say that he hasn't done good things in the UFC.
Yeah.
Because he's been an absolute animal while he's been in the UFC, but just never able to win the belt, right?
Yeah, almost finished
Same thing with... Almost.
Yeah. If he didn't go for that guillotine, if he went for ground and pound, he could have won that fight.
No, agreed. But he did.
Yeah. and he did it.
And his head bounced off the canvas a few times off that right from Stipe. Dude, yeah.
That was insane.
The other fighter, well, for me, it is Uriah Faber. Yeah, and you're right. Like you said, a lot of people lean towards Uriah Faber. Yeah, you know I love Uriah Faber, man.
Yeah, with good reason.
And I just think about Uriah Faber and what he was able to do in his career. And like you said, for Joe Benavidez, he could beat anybody other than the champion right now.
Yeah.
That was Uriah Faber's UFC career.
Yeah.
His entire UFC career.
Mm-hmm.
Where, put him up against anybody else but Aldo, he lost. Put him up against anybody else but Dominic Cruz, and he would just continue beating all these huge names. And it got to the point where later on in his career, I think that's part of the reason why for Piotr beating Faber was a pretty big deal in the organization's eyes, because he kind of became a gatekeeper at the end of his career.
Mm-hmm. But an elite gatekeeper.
An elite gatekeeper, exactly.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, man, it didn't matter who you threw out in front of Faber. He was going to beat him unless they were holding that championship belt, man.
Yeah.
And so that for me, when he unretired and came back for a little bit, I thought, okay, here we go. one last hurrah. You know what I mean? Let's take one last shot at the belt. You got this, Faber. I drank all the Kool-Aid and thought, maybe with the right matches, he might be able to sneak his way back into a title shot. And I know that Triple C would have loved to fight Uriah Faber.
100%.
Because, again, he was looking for one of those legends to be able to beat again, whether he was 40 or not. Triple C was looking to beat some legends.
Yeah, he's all about those legendary fights with caveats.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think that would have been a really fun fight to watch as well. But quite honestly, let's say Uriah would have won. I don't see him beating Triple C either way, at least not at this stage of his career.
No.
But man, it was a hard one though, because again, what got me thinking about this question, I knew I wanted to ask you this question during the podcast because I was curious to see who you'd pick.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect you to pick Rory McDonald, man, but that's a really good pick.
I mean, man, that fight with Robbie Lawler, I mean, everything about his career, but then when you really look at that, $50,000 for that fight. $50,000. That's all he got.
Rough.
I mean,
so
that
there's
took
a
years
couple
off his life.
Things in recent MMA that give me goosebumps, right? And one of them is when Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler are staring each other down on opposite ends of the octagon, and Rory's face is just bloodied up. Robbie Lawler has a split lip, and they're just staring each other down.
Well, how about at the end of the round when Rory on the buzzer hit Robbie clean, and they're both already bloody. I think it was the end of the fourth round. Could have been the third, but I think it was the fourth. Hits him clean on the buzzer, and Robbie just turns, spits. You just see a spray of blood, and then they just stare each other down for my God.
That fight was one of the most amazing fights. That one, and the other part that gives me goosebumps, so the other thing I can think of, recent memories, when Adesanya, I just posted this on the Instagram page, where he says, I'm okay with this. I'm ready to die.
I'm ready to die, yeah.
And when I saw that, look, dude, here we go again, goosebumps again. To see him say this, and you see it in his eyes, and like I asked on there, like how many fighters really mean that? At that split moment when Adesanya said, I'm ready to die, and he was staring at Gastelum, and he took that deep breath, I felt like he was thinking like, man, I'm good to go right now. Yeah. I'm going to go out as a warrior. If I die, I die, but I'm going to go out, with everything I got.
Because when you're in that moment, it's like he just almost got finished, and in a round that evened it. I mean, that fifth round was the decider of that fight, and it's like, all right, who can just keep? Because at that point, it's not who's in the better shape, which is funny that it's Adesanya versus Gastelum of all fighters to be saying that with, but it's just like, man, that mentality to continue, because momentum should have been on Gastelum's side at that point.
Yep.
So, man, talk about a championship round, Like they call it championship rounds.
In every sense of the saying, they're the championship rounds.
Yeah.
Those were truly memorable. Just because they're going to be talked about.
Yeah, it's not just because they're extra rounds and they're only in championship fights. It's because that's when you realize who a real champion is. And that's the thing that not bothers me, but that's the just the absolute like drama of the Robbie versus Rory fight is the same thing. Came down to that fifth round, and Robbie just kept putting it on him, and his nose at that point was just so destroyed that it's like when he went down, it wasn't a big shot that KO'd him. It
was a jab, wasn't it?
It was a jab, and it was just right on the nose over and over, and you just see him grab it and just he just didn't have anything left in him. He's never been the same. Never been the same.
Again, and that's why I always have a hard time when, on social media you see people talking shit, even to Usman.
Yeah.
To John Jones, as much as I don't like John Jones.
Yeah.
All these different fighters, is because these guys are truly putting their lives on the line every single time they go in there for a sport they love. Granted, they get paid for it, not as much as they should.
$50,000.
They get paid for it, but for our entertainment as well.
Yeah.
So for somebody to be typing away at home like a keyboard warrior and talking mad shit to Usman and to all these other fighters, it's like, dude, what have you done?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Staying your keyboard with Cheetos. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you see like the people like that Paul Felder message where he was like, I forgot what he said to Paul Felder, and Paul Felder's like, you wouldn't say that to my face.
Yeah, 5% or something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing it on Twitter, and it's like, you're the fucking scum of the earth. It's a funny screenshot, but get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like especially Paul Felder. You're gonna say some shit to Paul Felder? That guy's been in wars, dude. Every time he fights, it's a bloodbath. You know?
Yeah, and it's frustrating, man. And it's not just with fighters, we talked about Megan O'Leary and Laura Sanko. Laura Sanko gets all these messages all the time about how she doesn't know anything about fighting. Stick to doing this, stick to doing that, stick to reporting.
Yeah.
She's been in the cage before.
Yeah.
She's fought before. You who are messaging Laura Sanko about not knowing MMA, what have you done?
I know.
You know what I mean? So a lot of these people just need to take a step back, enjoy the fact that these fighters are giving us nothing but pure entertainment at the cost of their health and at the risk of potentially losing their lives. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. As
I don't know. That's my rant.
Sounds, but it's true.
It's true.
Like, we haven't had a high-profile death in MMA, but I mean, boxing, I know it's very different, but it's similar at the same time.
This happened last year twice that I can remember.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to, even if it's not a hard TKO, you think about jiu-jitsu, like last night when Benavidez was caught in that choke and he saw his eyes go cross-eyed. And I'm just thinking, like, let him go, please.
Yeah, where the fuck is the ref?
Yeah, exactly. And, in all reality, he didn't have him choked out too long after he was out.
True, yeah.
But just knowing that can cause long-term damage.
Yeah.
And for people that know that, again, no keyboard warriors, but people that know that can do serious damage, we react to it.
That was the first time in a UFC fight with a rear naked or a choke in general where someone doesn't tap and they get choked out. That was the first time where I wasn't looking at the winner of the fight as they were getting up. I was like, keep like, I want to see Benavidez like come to, because it was like, that was a scary one.
Yeah.
First time I've ever looked like, every time someone gets choked out, I'm like, damn, like, what a warrior. He went out on his shield with the choke, and it's like, but he'll be fine. And it's like, I'm already, it's like, that was sick. I'm on to the next thing. But with that one, it was like, is he going to get up from that? Like, it was heavy.
No, I'm the same way. And I mean, not to bring this up again, but I don't know if we did before. I don't think we did. Holly Holmes, when she got choked out.
Yeah.
And she threw a couple punches at the air before she went out.
Fucking gnarly.
Yeah, some savages, man.
Yeah,
again, that's why I get so frustrated
GSP.
that people talk. Yep, Bisping against GSP. I get so upset when people talk shit about these fighters.
Yeah.
Because you don't think they're exciting. Just give it a try. Even if you don't go into an octagon, walk into your local jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah.
And go up against the 17-year-old that's been doing this for 3 years and see if you still talk shit after you walk out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They need some humble pie.
Yeah.
All right, definitely. Man. And, hey, one last thing for you before we go. Adesanya versus Paulo Costa.
Yeah. Did that actually get confirmed? Because I saw
September 18th is what I read.
I saw it get confirmed, and then Dana said only one of them have signed the fight. And
really?
I don't know what happened after that.
The one that I see that's wishy-washy is the Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington fight. Yeah. I see that it's on, then I see it's off.
Mm-hmm.
I see Tyron saying that Covington's ducking him. Covington's like, nah, man, I'm the one that's signed the fight. Woodley's the one that hasn't signed. So
yeah.
I'm not even really entertaining that one right now until something's official. But from what I remember seeing, September 18th was official for Adesanya and Costa.
Yeah, that fight is... Man, Costa, that guy's fucking terrifying. That guy's terrifying.
Yes. Dude is bodied up, man. I don't want to say that he's doing anything unnatural.
I mean, come on.
Taking any Mexican supplements.
With all due respect.
With all due respect. True. So now I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
But dude is probably taking all the steroids.
Everything.
And he's a scary individual, man.
Yeah.
He puts everything into every punch.
And there was weird stuff going on during when COVID first broke out. USADA was not everywhere. You know?
That is true. And after USADA was not everywhere and they were limited on testing, I remember Paulo Costa posting a couple pictures and his veins had veins on them.
And I remember Eric Anders posting a picture of a home drug test kit that USADA sent him. And he was like, really? Oh, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. I swear, though.
Oh, yeah, because nobody cheated on any of those drug tests.
Yeah. Hold on. That's a bold statement, though. Hold on.
That's hilarious. No, but I'm looking forward to that fight either way. I think that
Yeah.
it might go very similar to how the Yoel Romero fight went.
I
Because
disagree.
you disagree?
Yeah,
Well,
keep going,
I
though.
think that it's similar because I don't know if you remember after that fight, Adesanya said, I have nothing else to prove. I'm going to walk away with this belt.
Uh-huh.
And I think right now he's satisfied with doing what he has to do inside of the octagon. He's still an exciting fighter, but
Yeah.
he's satisfied with doing what he has to do inside the octagon to be able to keep that belt. And Costa's one of those people like Romero that can continue putting on pressure. More pressure than Romero, actually. So he might be able to coax Adesanya into more exchanges.
Yeah.
But I think that Adesanya is still going to be somewhat cautious going into this fight, unlike the Gastelum fight.
I'm going to disagree. I think that...
Can you say with all due respect first so I don't get offended?
Yeah, with all due respect.
I'm good now.
Yeah. I think that the Adesanya Romero fight, leading up to it, that was a very real possibility that fight was going to go like that. I wasn't surprised. I was a little let down. I wanted a war, obviously. But when you have... I mean, remember when Stephen Thompson fought...
Woodley?
Yeah. They're both counter-strikers.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, this is going to be crazy. Both these guys, vicious knockouts, both of them. And then I think I watched that at your house.
You go.
Yeah.
No, you go.
Yeah,
you go.
And live, love those fights. Both of them. When I was watching those live, so sick. But when you have two counter-strikers, and we see it with Anderson Silva, we saw it with him too, who's going to go first? You know, so that was something that I saw not saw coming. I wasn't like, hey everybody, that fight's gonna be what it was. I was still hyped for it and stuff, but I was like, in the back of my mind, this could happen. The difference with Adesanya versus Costa is when you look at how Yoel fought Costa. I mean, that was a crazy fight. They were trading shots. The reason they were trading shots is because Costa does not take a step back. He goes forward. And normally when someone goes forward and against Yoel demolishes them. That Cuban missile KOs them. But Costa was tough enough and was landing the better shots, and he weathered that, and he won that fight, I thought. But when he fights someone like Adesanya, I don't think it's really Adesanya being like, okay, I'm trying to retain my belt, path of least resistance. There's definitely a factor of that, right? He's not going to be like, I'm going to throw down with everybody and put myself in danger. But, I mean, he's a counter striker. So when he fights someone like Yoel, and Yoel isn't pushing the pace, he's not throwing his counters. Someone like Costa doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a shit if you're an expert counter striker like Yoel is. He comes forward. So he's going to come forward, I think, exactly the same as he does in every single fight. The difference with this one is Adesanya elusive enough to be able to get around those shots? Because the same thing with Gastelum. When Gastelum fought Adesanya, the reason it was the crazy fight that it was is because Gastelum is just walking him down with that 1-2, and then that overhand that he throws over and over and over again. So now we have Adesanya being able to counter. Same thing with Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is lunging in with these crazy combos, and Adesanya's bam, done. So it's like, yeah, Adesanya's last fight, it sucked. It's not a fun fight to watch. I'll probably never rewatch it. But I think someone like Costa brings out the best in someone like Adesanya. So I think that fight's going to be as crazy as on paper it should be, I would imagine.
I think this is why I'm so excited for it, though, right? Because you're right. It could go either way. While I lean towards Adesanya probably being a little more cautious going in, the possibility is definitely there for another exciting, fight like we saw with Gastelum.
I don't think Adesanya gets to be cautious. I don't think he gets to even make a choice in how that pace of that fight is going to go. I think Costa is going to force Adesanya to fight a certain way just to survive, you know?
Yeah, I just think Adesanya is such a smart guy, and I think he's so much smarter than some people give him credit for. And,
Definitely.
You know, when I take a look at him, he seems like one of those fighters that, like he said, he already proved his point. He's a great fighter, and I think that he's going to want to eventually retire without any slurred speech, with no major injuries.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that he's going to want to be more cautious here the rest of the way, because he's already become a star, I think, a superstar within the UFC. So he's already got that following.
Yeah.
And like I said, what else is there to prove? So
yeah,
I'm a big Adesanya fan.
Yeah, I just don't
hope
think
that
he gets
comes out unscathed.
Yeah, same here. I want him to win that fight. I don't really ever want to see Adesanya lose. But I just don't think he even gets to be cautious in that fight. I don't think he's going to get a moment, you know. There's no point fighting someone like Costa, you know.
Let's see, man. I'm excited. And as soon as September 18th comes around, you know, we'll see what the rest of that card looks like. But whenever Adesanya headlines a card, I know I'm super excited. And Adesanya and Costa, man, I'm going to be super pumped for that. So
yeah, what's your pick, though?
Oh, I go Adesanya.
Same.
I go Adesanya. I think, again, I think Adesanya is a really smart fighter. I do see what you're saying with Costa being an aggressor, continuing to push forward. But I think that Adesanya will go in with a game plan knowing that.
Yeah.
And being able to avoid a lot of his major shots and being able to control the octagon.
Well, I think the reason that Costa, I think the reason Costa's going to lose is because of that, because of the fact that he does not care and he will push the pace.
And he's an aggressor.
Yeah, and that's how you get the best Adesanya, is when you push the pace against him. He's just going to fuck you up. So that's what I think is going to happen. And he's going to land shots, obviously, but Adesanya's striking. People think he's new to it because he's new to the UFC still, kind of. But it's like, no, that guy's got experience.
He's been doing this forever.
It's not like you think he hasn't fought in 10 people like Costa? Come on. Like,
no, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I think he's an absolute monster in his personality and just everything all together. I think he's one of those major superstars that the UFC needs right now. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see this fight. Do you have anything else, Will?
No.
That's
Not
it?
really. Yeah.
So before we go, Instagram is
Story of the Fight.
Story of the Fight.
Yeah.
On Instagram. The email is
Story of the Fight at gmail.com.
At Gmail?
Yeah.
I see a reoccurring theme here.
I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how. There's no YouTube channels named Story of the Fight. The Instagram was open. The Gmail was open. You think that would already be a thing? Maybe it's.
But yeah, I mean,
not as clever as I
I'm
thought
still
it
waiting
was.
to see some emails, DMs, and stuff come through from anybody that might be listening, just to see what kind of questions they might have. If they want to hear our take on anything specific, get some listener interaction going, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And before we go, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to just again Corey for all the feedback, Christian for all the feedback. A lot of people showing this love. Young Nate, John, Tony, Skogan, right? We had a lot of people leave comments on YouTube as well. So I just appreciate all the love that everybody was given.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. All right, man. That's all I got then, Will.
Same.
All right, brother. Don't be scared, homie.
These things happen. All right.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later, man.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bye.